So let's talk about insect bites. The importance of understanding what has maybe bit you or what could have bit you. Now, a disclaimer, I am not a medical professional. I have read up and done some reading for you and for myself as well. I'm interested in this subject and I think it may help somebody. So that's the disclaimer there. So let's see and talk about insect bites and stings. When you get a sting or a bite, don't always take it lightly. Now, I'm a victim of this myself. When you get a sting and a bite, occasionally, you'll just shrug it off. And most of the time, it's not serious, it's not a problem. But it's always important to check that bite or that sting in case any infection should exist. Just monitor it. If things are wrong, then you need to take action. A wasp or a hornet's sting. Generally, a wasp or a hornet's sting is really often a problem. But for some people, they could get an allergic reaction to it. They can be extremely painful getting a wasp sting. Wasps can sting you many times over, as can hornets. So be careful with them, keep an eye on it, and if you have something with you to put on for anti-sting or anything like that, or any antihistamine, and yes, that's something to look up, antihistamine is worth taking with you on your journey into hiking, or if you're going somewhere, be aware of wasps. If there's a lot of wasps in one area, there's going to sure to be many more. Sweet things attract wasps, so anything that's like a can of Coke or anything like that, just be wary. Wasps can be nasty when they upset. They have that sort of tendency to be a bit docile, but if they're agitated, they will sting. In general, as I say, be very careful of wasps and hornets. Hornets tend to hurt a little bit more, from what I understand, but I could be wrong about that. And if you have an allergic reaction, seek medical advice and ring 999 or whatever that is internationally in your area and get some good advice about the sting. They can last a few hours or even a few days. Don't scratch it, don't itch it. Easier said than done, because when you get a sting like that, it can be so easy to do. But like I will say throughout the video, the scratching and the rubbing of it could cause infection and make things worse. So bee stings. Bees don't tend to sting you unless they really have to, or if it's a protection mechanism, so understand. I may be wrong about that, but as far as I know, they won't sting you unless they really feel necessary. And it can be kind of a little of a last resort for a bee to sting you. Bees tend to leave their little core or little things inside the sting behind, so to speak, in the skin. And you want to try and remove that and probably put a plaster or something on top, and again some cream. Don't itch it, don't agitate it. Bee stings can be very, very painful for some people. I know myself, at one time I had an allergic reaction personally to a bee sting. It stung me in the head and my eye came right up when I was at school. So, I don't know if I'm allergic to bees or it was a reaction at that particular time, but bees can be quite painful for some people. Again, it's probably nothing to worry about, but if you are short of breath or this thing's not quite correct, then seek medical advice. Ring 999, go to the doctors. The NHS is there for you as well. A lot of this information is on the NHS website. If you want to read about bees and stings and identification, it's where I found a lot of my information from. But there we are, bees. Be careful of bees. Most of the time, not a worry, but there's a word of caution. Mosquitoes. Mosquitoes like wet and humid weather. So they don't like it when it's cold. It's got to be warm, but it's got to be like a damp environment for them to really come out. And they will come out in the warm weather as well. But what it is they like it when it's been raining, such as today, and the day before a bit of heat. They love that sort of environment and they breed well in it. So you may see more mosquitoes in the summertime or in springtime. When it's a hot day, you'll see mosquitoes. Like I say, don't be under the illusion, if it's been raining, that there won't be mosquitoes about. I'd say there's more mosquitoes today, normally, when I come in on hot days. And the reason being is yesterday was red hot warm, and today it's raining. This is perfect environment for the mosquito. It tends to be the female mosquito that carries malaria, and malaria being a serious condition. It's not so prevalent in the UK, yellow fever and things like that, but malaria is a life critical condition and needs looking at if you go abroad. Be mindful of the mosquito. Mosquitoes tend to not cause much problem. People have allergic reactions and they can swell up in a big area. You'll know mosquito bite. It's easy to identify after a while. Mosquitoes tend to make a big noise, well, a buzzy noise next to us. So you know when it's a mosquito because you can actually hear them. They can actually hear them buzz by. You can see them on the walls in foreign countries. You'll see them in those sort of conditions. But whatever you do, try not to scratch a mosquito bite. If you keep scratching it, it could come infected. I know myself. I'm a victim of this. I do scratch them and I shouldn't scratch them. It's bad practice. So don't do by my example and scratch them. I'm being honest. It's easier said than done. Mosquito bites will irritate, but be careful of infection. If they get big and get inflamed and extremely painful, seek medical advice. There is antihistamines. There is other things in other countries like alcohol that they put on them, but be careful of mosquitoes. Ticks. Now, there's lots of things about ticks online. One thing I will say about ticks, and lots of information about it, one thing I will say about ticks is they can carry Lyme disease. And yes, if you think you're in the UK and you think that we don't get a Lyme disease here, you'd be wrong. My father-in-law caught Lyme disease and he was very poorly from it. Okay, so it is a big thing. It can be treated, it can be looked at, but catching it early is the thing. Tend to live on things like that stuff there, bracken. But not just bracken, they could be amongst grass or anything like that. Your dogs, your cats carry ticks. You need to check your dogs and cats for those particular things, because it's not exactly nice for the dog or the cat, but they can actually carry on to you as well. Ticks suck your blood. They are like little vampires, if you like. Okay, but they do carry that Lyme disease, so be careful of them. Things about ticks, and this has been said many times by people who have the knowledge, who understand this. Do not burn a tick off. The thing is with a tick, if you burn it off, it'll actually scare the tick, or it'll actually freak it out to the point where it'll actually be sick, the infection, and if it's got Lyme disease, into your bloodstream. That is the wrong way to get rid of a tick. Do not, and I must say this, burn it off. Be careful how you take a tick off as well. There are special things you can buy to get rid of ticks. Tweezers, twist them and take them out. Do not dig them in. And be careful of tick bites. If you think you've got a tick, that's fine. Most of the time, it's fine. But if you see it start going wrong, or you're really worried about a tick, you must, and I mean must, seek medical attention. Because Lyme disease is not a condition you want to get. Now, ant bites. This has really confused me about ants. I was always under the impression that black ants could bite. But since I read up, that seems to me not the case. Now, if that is incorrect, please put that down in the comments, because I'd love to know if black ants actually can bite or not. In the UK, that is. I know in other countries it's going to be different, and black ants will be able to bite. But I read up on lots of sites that's saying they are actually harmless. However, the wood ant and the green ant, the wood ant in the UK, that will bite. But it'll only bite as a protectionism like many animals. It's protecting its nest, it feels under threat, but they will bite. And you'll know if you've got an ant bite because it'll actually itch, and it'll itch quite badly. But it's not, I've never known an ant bite be as serious for me personally as a mosquito bite. And I don't think mosquito bites are particularly serious to me either, but they tend to wear off ant bites quite quickly. That said, that's not going to be the same for everybody. You'll get a little bit of redness. You'll get a little bit of a lump. Okay, and you'll know when you've had ant bites because you'll be very near an ant's nest. And more likely, if you sat on an ant's nest, you'll know you've had a bite after that. It's as simple as that. Just be careful of bites in general, but ant bites tend to not be very serious. That said, it's going to be a serious condition for somebody out there. Somebody would have an allergic reaction. Like everything we just said throughout this video, pay attention to them. But I'd love to know if black ants can actually bite, because I was always led that they could. Oh well, we'll have to wait and see what people think and people say. I'll be interesting to know. So ladybirds and midges, I'm going to go on about these ones because we can go on about bites and stings, and there is lots of different animals that can. Midges are tiny little, they're like little flying things that fly about in the air, and they can cause a little bit of reaction. Midges, you'll get loads of little bites in a congregation of a spot, if that makes like a little rash. Midges tend to do that. Don't get them confused with a gnat, or I don't know if that's its actual thing, or a gnat, but gnats tend to not bite at all. They itch your hair, and you'll be itching like mad when you get the gnats are around, but they don't tend to bite you, they just irritate. However, midges do bite. If you're near water and you do a lot of fishing, you'll notice or come across midges a lot. Just be careful with midges. They tend not to be serious, but you could get a rash. Midges tend to bite. If they're going to bite, they'll bite in like a little area or a section, and there'll be rashes. You'll know when you've got midges, and they tend to be red and inflamed. But midges, in some parts of the country, I know in Scotland they see a lot more of that, but be careful of them. But they're not particularly bad, to be honest, but just be noticeable. And midges is all I'm going to say on that matter. Ladybirds can bite, and so I don't know if I've ever been bitten by a ladybird, but they can bite as well. Other things that you need to be aware of are some caterpillars. There's a caterpillar in this country where it actually, I don't exactly know what it does, but I know I've seen it on the NHS website, where basically its fur or bits of its, I don't know, its skin or discretion can get into and irritate the skin. So caterpillars are not exactly immune from being, you're immune from them, if that makes sense. You could potentially there's a risk from a caterpillar. Spiders. Now spiders, there's lots of spiders in this country that won't bite, but there are some that can bite. And actually the common house spider can be more of a one that can bite. So if you think just because you're outside, you think that the spider that's outside is more likely to bite you, it's not always true. The common house spider can bite you, but you'll know if you had a spider bite because with like two little prongs in your skin, if that makes sense, two little where the fangs have gone in. But generally, they're not dangerous in the UK, but there are some dangerous varieties in the UK. Okay, so just be aware there is some dangerous ones out there. And every year we see something on the news about a new strain or a new strain not being the word, sorry, a new identification of a spider that's not normally native to the UK that can be quite bad. So it's worth researching about spiders. But again, that's a big long subject. So I hope this video's been useful to you. Take care and just be careful and mindful of bites and stings. Thank you.